a lot of time the stuff wasn't so valuable as it was now, but I always, even if something was not so good a condition, I'd still put it upstairs and not throw anything out, which is, you know, a blessing in disguise, because now we're saving some of that stuff and repairing it because it's all drying up. And cars are too expensive to go and wreck now. To buy a car back then, we'd pay $300 or $400 and get a complete car. And now you can't even buy a door for that.
Well, welcome to a new Dave's Workshop Tours video, and today we've got something a little different. As you can see, I'm up at Ford GT Specialist Grand Tourer here in Melbourne. But rather than an update on the cars, Dan is going to take us through the zinc plating process, something the business can do on site. So sit back and enjoy, please leave your comments below and make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell for more DWT content to come. Right, Dan, what we've got going on here today?
Okay, so today we've got our stockpile of nuts and bolts that we've collected over the last 25 years, and we've got some rusty stuff here. As you can see, it's got some master caps, and we've got a wheel stud there, and this front bolt for the suspension. So we're going to give those a bit of a zinc plate, bit of a water blast, acid bath, and then it'll come up like brand new.
And what car are these for?
So these come off various models. We've got here, that's off an XY Falcon, and these can suit any model through XA, XB, XR, XY, and they're just generally on XY, these ones, these studs.
Great stuff, okay.
So yeah, we'll give them a go and bring them up like brand new. So some of the stuff we're going to put in our acid bath that's out the back there, and we're going to chuck it in our container. We've got some drain holes in the bottom of this one, and we put a piece of steel to weigh it down. Sometimes it's a little bit too light, so we need the piece of steel in there to sink it to the bottom as we put it in. So we're just going to hook this one up and we'll chuck it in. So this is our acid bath over here. We just sit that in for 5 minutes, and that's going to pull off all the previous zinc and stuff, and you can watch that, it'll start to bubble up, and that's stripping off all the old zinc and all the rust, everything comes off.
So it's pretty important to keep hold of those parts in the business and whatever. Is that always been something that you've had to be mindful of, or has it been stuff that's chucked away in the past?
Always our nuts and bolts. We've never thrown anything out at all, because you just never know. There's certain clips they don't manufacture, or there's not a massive need for it. So you, as you're going through with all these nuts and bolts, you go, well, XR Falcon, there's not so much of a need. There's not as many of those produced. So all those items, it's not viable to go and produce them. So it's a cost thing really, because you're going to outlay all your money and you're not going to get the return. So,
you know, have the restorers of these vehicles, they've always had in mind that at one day that they're going to become popular and want to be, you know, people are going to be, you know, wanting to restore these cars. I'm sure in the old days they'd have just chucked away at bolts and what have you.
Yeah.
But has it been something in Australia that you've always known to keep hold of this?
Not necessarily known. I mean, I knew the cars were always popular between people, and you know, young guys always liked them. Back in the day, I started with Neil in '97, so a lot of time the stuff wasn't so valuable as it was now. But I always, even if something was not so good a condition, I'd still put it upstairs and not throw anything out, which is, you know, a blessing in disguise, because a lot of the stuff Neil would say, oh, that's no good, and I'd just still put it upstairs. And yeah, luckily, because now we're saving some of that stuff and repairing it because it's all drying up. And cars are too expensive to go and wreck now. To buy a car back then, we'd pay $300 or $400 and get a complete car. And now you can't even buy a door for that. It's yeah, it's definitely pricey.
Well, it's lucky you had the foresight that this was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? It's just lucky that we did that back then. So yeah, it's been good. Just going to give them a check. It's stopped bubbling now. So generally, once it's stopped bubbling, it's usually stripped off all the old zinc and stuff on them. So we're just going to drain that out. We'll let that drip off a little bit through the holes in the bottom of the container. Okay, and then we're going to give that a rinse off. So we have rinse baths here, which are basically just water. So that's one of our rinse baths. So we give it a dunk in there, just to wash off all the hydrochloric acid. We'll give it a couple of dunks, let it drain out. And then our next step, we're going to put this in, it's basically a high pressure water blaster. So you can see it stripped all the old zinc off and stuff. If you give it a rub, you can see that's all stripped off.
Oh, yeah.
But just to get the shine on the stuff, we're going to give it a hydroblast. So we'll go over to our machine now and give that a go. Okay, so this is our hydroblast machine. So basically it's got a fine bead in it. So you'll see here, that's just a fine bead.
Oh, let me just get it. Yeah.
And it runs off water, so it's high pressure. So we're going to give that a go with all our parts. And then we can go in and wire them up and give them a zinc plate.
Okay.
So we've got our gloves that we put on, run through, and turn the machine on. Do an inspection on the nuts and bolts. Just have a look at those. All come up clean. And that really makes them shine once you zinc plate them. So we're just going to set up some wires on here. So we need to unravel some wire. Copper wire. Just some copper wire, yeah.
Tell us about the science behind using copper.
It's good transductor, I think the word is, of electricity. So we put some current through these. So we're going to do 3 different colours. We've got our black, our silver and our gold. And what we'll do before we go into the zinc bath, we'll give them a go in the acid again just for a couple of seconds. Reason being the water blaster, once you take it out, you get a bit of flash rust. So that comes on quite quickly.
So this is what we're going to see on the silver one. What were these pieces for?
So they're inner door handle plates. So yeah, we just zinked those this afternoon.
And for one of the cars outside?
Yeah, for one of the restos. The good thing we find with the plating, if we need something in a hurry, we can do it ourselves. So we can sort of have a couple of hour turnaround and we're all done and we've got it plated in our hand ready to fit. So it's quite handy for us.
That's actually going around other businesses as well. That's the thing that they have to wait on for other, other businesses who don't necessarily can't be bothered to do this small work.
Because generally the commercial platers, we can take something there and they're 1 to 2 week wait.
Yeah.
So for us, and you're waiting on that nut and bolt to fit something.
Would it be commercially viable for you to offer this business to other restorers out there?
We have tried it in the past, but it's very time consuming, and we find that it's better off us working on the cars rather than zinc plating. So we generally just do it for an in-house sort of thing. It sort of works better for us. So we generally, that's how we'll wire something up.
I'm sorry, buddy, let me see. Yeah. Okay.
So we'll wire it up like that. We'll give it a rinse just to wash off all the little bits of bead and stuff that's still on there before we put it in the tank. And these ones basically we just wrap it around the wire and then twist it, and that'll hold it tight and it won't come off. So go around and then give it a twist. And that'll hold the bolt. So you can see here, just starting to get a bit of flash rust on it. So we'll give that a quick dunk in the acid.
Well, that's come up in that time that it's been out of the bottom.
It's very quick, yeah. They call it flash rust.
Wow.
So it can only take a minute or two and it comes on.
Wow.
So we'll give these a go in the acid. So probably only need about 20 seconds for them in there. Won't take long and they'll come up clean again.
Literally that oxidisation just happens within
straight away.
minutes. Bloody hell.
Okay, so this is our zinc bath. So basically we've got our, this turns the bubbles in there and stops the stuff from blistering. Because if the stuff's not moving around, it'll start to blister all the products in there. So then we're going to come up here and put some amps in it. We'll put about 8 amps. So we'll turn that on. It's not quite enough, we like it about 8 amps. So 7 to 8 amps. So we'll leave that in for approximately 15-20 minutes until they become shiny. So what we'll do is we'll leave that go and then we'll give it a check, we'll pull them out and we'll basically have a look at the shininess. If they look real shiny and nice, then we can go in. If they look dull, they need a bit longer in the tank. So basically you've got the zinc balls in there and with the current that runs through and it attracts all the zinc from the balls and it goes onto the product in there. It's a pretty cool thing that we've got going on here.
Absolutely, definitely. So what's going to make the black ones black and the...
So they're the colours, so we've got our 3 tanks with the different colours.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
so
the maturation.
that's what determines, yeah. So they'll come out of here into a rinse tank and then we'll go into each desired colour.
So how long is this for?
So we'll set it for about 15 minutes and I generally set the timer on a stopwatch, otherwise we'll forget and then our stuff will blister.
Get down, what do you got here?
Okay, so we've got an alternator housing. As you can see, it's old looking and a little bit of corrosion on it and stuff. So we're going to get this in our water blast machine and we're going to do just a section of it just to show the difference before and after. So it's better than sandblasting, it doesn't actually pit the metal. It's not abrasive. So we'll give that a go and show you the sample. Okay, so we're going to put it in the machine. Latch the door and we'll give it a go. That's the finish there.
So what sort of pressure does that the water come out at there?
Not sure on the pressure actually. It's quite high. If you're not holding onto it in your hand, it'll pull it out your hand. It's fairly high pressure. The best part about it is it's still got a shine. If we were to put this in the bee blast or whatever, it'll be very dull, whereas this brings a real nice shine. And it generally stops oil and that's sucking into it, so if it's a bit of grease or oil, it won't penetrate it. Once it's been water blasted, it stays really good and it's clean and it doesn't penetrate in. Good. So this is the stuff we use over here. So this is a glass bead. So as you can see in the cup there, it's just a real fine bead. So it's not too coarse. Yeah, so we're ready to go now. You can see that's nice and shiny. It's got a good shine on it. Yeah. So we're going to pull them out one at a time. We're going to go into our rinse. And then we're going to choose our black colour. So we're going to dunk that in there. So that'll go in for about 1.5 minutes. We'll just check that it's pouring colour onto it, which it is. We'll let that sit there. Turn our lamps off. So you can see the shininess on that.
Absolutely.
That's looking nice. So we'll go to our next colour. Rinse that off and then into the colour.
Silver.
Yeah, so this one will go in for about 30 seconds. And we just move it around the tank so that it picks up all the colour on it.
And are you having to replenish that mix in there or anything like that?
No, generally, as long as we keep an eye on it, we have to go through and check pH levels. So I can pull that out now. And then we're going to rinse that.
Okay, sorry.
And that can go into our rack.
Okay, we'll come back to see that in a moment.
Now we'll get our silver out. Into the rinse. We'll get our gold out next.
I can tell you, like I said, there's going to be lots of businesses, restoration businesses around Melbourne right now going, God, I wish we had one of these.
Yeah, a lot of guys actually set up little own zinc plating things at home. Just a small, not as big as this, and just in their backyard sheds and stuff.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to go 20 seconds in the gold, so we can check the colour on that. And if we want it a touch darker, just leave it in a bit longer. That colour's looking pretty good. Give it a rinse off. The gold's a little bit temperamental, so we generally have to, you've got to be careful blowing the gold off until it dries.
There they are.
These are 3 colours. So you can see as you actually blow this one off with the air, you'll see the colour change.
Rebounding off your hand to go to the other side. Yeah.
That's it, and then we're going to let them dry.
That's pretty much done.
They're all done, yeah.
Excellent.
Ready to go.
Thanks very much, mate.
So we'll give them a couple of hours, let them dry, and then we can fit them to the cars.
Excellent. Thanks very much.
No
Cheers.
worries.